So it's titled "Three Scientists School Flat Earthers on Evidence." Right. So again, what we have to understand is, scientist. What are we talking about? Because as I've said before, I could say you were applying a science to how you picked your nose. So you're a nose picking scientist because you use a particular nail structure, file it a certain way, and use a certain technique to get to certain bits in your fucking nose. So we can apply the word scientist to any fucking thing. So what are we actually talking about? Scientists. Because we can have the science of lying. We can have the science of telling the truth. We could say it as about anything.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So,
science belongs to every man and not to any institution or guys in white coats, with their own subjective opinion of what that might mean. Yeah. What we're talking about here is real natural science still. Yeah. And I'm using the word natural in the way that the common man would use it, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that we live in, right? The stuff that's round about us every day, right?
Yep. Right. Let me see here. Are we ready? So Gav, usual, just you shout when you want a pause or whatever. I'm obviously going to do the same.
Right.
It's round. Okay, now let's see. How do we go about proving that?
Right, so right away, it's round. Assertions made, image presented to you on the fucking screen.
Yep.
That's a hard thing for me to even start talking about because there are so many proofs that the Earth is round.
So many proofs.
But yet there's none.
Well, let's see what our first one is. Let's see what our big one is, Dale.
It's difficult to know where to start.
B.O.B., the rapper, I have a video.
So here we go. This is what they do. They just pick a sacrificial lamb. Some guy that's made statements, so he now represents everybody, including you and I, Gav. This is their focal point. It's funny why they never bring us into this, isn't it?
Right, very strange. And whether he was just ignorant, Dale, or duped, or he really is part of the deceit, I don't know. I don't care.
But why would you get somebody that's just made a passing comments here or there or tweets and no go to people like us who have been here for over 5 years, week in, week out, actively inviting people at Neil to come up and have the discussion with us?
Yeah, come on, Neil, Mr. DeGrasse.
We'll get to Neil and them hijacking our position.
Come on and see us, Neil.
Letter to him, the transcript of which is in Letters from an Astrophysicist. That rose to that level of attention.
Letter from an astrophysicist. So Neil's a guy who looks up at the intangible phenomena in the sky and makes up fucking stories about
it. I'd say that's a perfect description of an astrophysicist. Yeah.
Fuck all to do with real world stuff. Absolutely nothing.
Because he started saying, I am using laws of math and physics to show Earth is flat. Those are fighting words.
Aye, because what he probably meant about physics, Neil, is what we've been talking about. Real world, applied stuff.
Yep, that's him already starting to how should I say, bleed into mathematical physics and the confusion in there and putting himself on a pedestal in it.
Because
there you go.
Neil's an expert in fucking mental gymnastics.
I'm going to say using math and physics, that is an alarm to the geekiverse that we must rise up and
you can even see who he's appealing to in his fucking language. He's appealing to the Star Trekkers and the Star Wars fanatics who sit in their mammy's basement playing video games day in and day out with a total warped sense of reality.
The geekiverse.
Aye.
Counteract these forces from the dark side that are out.
So there you go. He's telling you we have to counteract, and he's telling you that people that question his narrative are the dark side. So painting you as nasty, evil, whatever, you know.
Yeah, and again, using Hollywood, Hollywood speak, I mean, that's a Star Wars reference, isn't it? The good side and the dark side, or is it light side and dark side, or whatever.
Exactly.
So we're Darth Vader,
There are proofs all around you. It is not difficult to know that the Earth is round.
Here's one then, Michelle.
So let's start from the simple to the slightly more complicated. One of the things you can see yourself with a pair of binoculars is if you actually go out to a lake and there are boats on that lake, the farther away a boat is, the more the bottom of the boat will disappear and you'll basically just...
There it is. So this camera, I've pointed this out before we even get into that, Gav. The centre of the visible field, the frame, right, shows you that the camera's pointing towards the sky, right? Now, levelled, that sea, the water in front of you would appear to rise up to just beneath the central horizontal axis of your picture frame, right? So it appears to rise up in front of you.
Yep.
What is that an effect of, Gav?
It's an effect of your vision, Dale.
You sure it's not the physical world?
I'm absolutely positive that it's not the physical world, Dale, because substances tell me that it can't possibly do that. So, and I have enough, of my own observations, my own lived life to know how my vision works if I just attend to it closely enough, right? So.
Now, again, without accounting for vision, what they would have to be ascertain to you here is that the earth that you're standing upon is some warped golf ball looking fucking thing where the floor is physically rising up in front of you and then dipping downwards at some arbitrary point in the distance.
To see the mast of the boat. And as a boat goes farther and farther away, the last thing you will see is the very top of the mast of that boat. And that's because the boat is actually going over the horizon that's curved.
Right.
And that means that as it goes farther and farther away, you see less and less of the bottom of it.
Notice with her right hand, she continually elevates it up the way. Right? That's a geometric, physical impossibility for you to be at the top of a globular earth wherever you go, and the floor to be curving downwards from your feet in every direction. Physical impossibility for it to rise up into the centre of your field of view.
Yep, absolutely.
And more of the top of that. You can see that with binoculars, by an ocean, by a lake.
And every day it changes and varies. Michelle, why are you not adding that in?
Really easy. That wouldn't happen if the Earth were flat. You would simply see the boat getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it went farther away, but you'd be able to see the whole thing with the same proportions.
Would you?
Stop it right there, will you, Dale? I'd just like to have this opportunity to point to a paper that I wrote,
Yeah.
And maybe I can even just do a quick screen share of it. Yeah. I'll post you the link, and maybe you can
put it
into the chat.
I need to stop screen sharing this just now. Hang on. Right. I can present you, can I? Hold on a minute. If I go to that, how do I present you fully so that you're the one that's seen? Hang on. Have you sent me that, Gav?
I just sent you a link to a document.
Right.
I don't know, maybe you can share it or you can post it into the link.
Right, hold on.
It's on my public Google Drive, right, which contains a bunch of stuff. And one of it's a paper that's now 4 years old, Dale, with geometric and mathematical proofs of, that exactly what she said there is just not true. Yeah. It's just not true. It's a barefaced fucking lie, right? That things, when they go into the distance, always get smaller and smaller and stay in proportion. It's not true.
No.
The only time that is true is when you are absolutely equidistant from the bottom or from the top of something, right? If I'm looking at a lamppost, then my eye level would have to be absolutely equidistant between the top of the lamppost and the bottom of the lamppost.
Yeah.
And then if I look down that line, then yes, it would be more or less true what she says. In every other case, where you are closer to the ground, right, than the mast of the ship, that is not a true statement.
Yeah.
And the paper that I've just posted, I mean, we don't need to go through it all in detail. I just want people to know that there are mathematical proofs out there that what that lady said is a complete lie. It's an utter nonsense. It's not true, right? And that paper's been on there publicly available now for 4 years, and nobody's ever refuted it. They can check my mathematical proof. They can go through the reasoning. They can do it themselves, right? There's even GeoGebra models, right, that you can put in one of these geometric programs to go through and look at it yourself. It's just not true what she's saying.
No.
It's just a lie.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's the thing, you know, just as you say, Gav, we're no equidistant between the floor and the top, whatever that may be. And this is the other thing I want to point out, you know, because I had it with Dan, and Dan presented it, Crazy Polish Man, where, you know, he had a bit of an issue with some guy who was using a water level device. So a tube with water in it, separated by whatever a metre, and going to altitude, and then putting the camera so that the lens is, you know, the water level intersects the centre of the lens, and then saying, look, the floor, which is hundreds of feet beneath that apparatus and the camera, there's a gap between the water level and the floor. You know, these two things are parallels. If you've got a body of water at elevation and a body of water beneath you, they're parallel lines. They're never going to intersect. You don't go up to the elevation and put your camera lens, you know, intersected with the water device and then assert, look, the floor's dropped away beneath it. That is utter stupidity, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's the same if you're on the ground. The only way for you to get an accurate, you're always above the ground. So the floor will never go beyond the central horizontal axis of your picture frame, ever, right? The only way for that to be possible is if you submerged yourself so that the ground or the floor you were looking over was now submerged halfway across your camera lens, right? But that's not the case. We're always above the ground. And then if you go up to elevation, you're even more above it. But this again is just part of their sophistry, their dishonesty, or their stupidity. But sorry. No, you go.
No, it's just kind of, I mean, if they were really honest, then they'd kind of do what I did, right? Which is go back to the absolute first principles, right? Let's leave, first of all, the optical instruments out of the game. Let's look at the one optical instrument we all have, right? The one we can all agree on, the globe in your eye, right? Let's look at how that works first, before we start looking through theodolites and getting the complications of, you know, lenses and spherical aberration and, you know, all the intrinsic things that go along with that, right? So, you know, let's look at vision first, understand properly how that works, and make the discernment of that part first, that the visible world and the physical world behave and operate under two different geometries.
Exactly.
Right? Exactly. Geometry of vision is spherical, it's two-dimensional. The geometry of the physical world is three-dimensional, Cartesian, if you like, Euclidean, right? Boxes and squares on level planes, right?
Exactly.
So, and if you go back to that level first, and you actually, you know, honestly look at it, Dale, and go through the geometry of it, then you can see that what she is saying is just utterly not true. Right? So if that's the best proof they've got, if that's the three sciences against the first flat Earth, Dale, and the same old horse feathers that they come out with is this visible proofsies, right, of the mass of boats sinking, then they haven't done their first fucking basics. They haven't done their 101, Dale, as far as I'm concerned. And that's not true science.
No.
That's just charlatans.
And you'll never hear these people, again in this video, you don't hear Michelle or any of the others talking about the separation of vision and the tangible world. Never. They just interlace the two of them continually.
Absolutely. And that's one of the basic discernments, I think, that is absolutely necessary to understand the deviousness of it, right? The sophistry. If you catch that one thing, that the visible world and the physical world, and you can prove it to yourself every fucking day, Dale, right? There's so many things you can do to understand how vision works, right? Like, you know, the very fact that if you take a coin, right, and you hold it in front of your hand, right, if you take the diameter of that coin and you remove it in the distance 3,500 times its own diameter, then you won't be able to see it. So, I mean, you know, when people say these silly things like, why can't you see Paris if the Earth is flat? Well, that's just because you have a limit to your vision.
Exactly.
There's nothing mysterious about it, right?
No.
They don't need to put it there as if you know, that's what all flat earthers believe. No, exactly. And why should they believe it? Why should they even bring that up as an argument if they were being honest, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And I mean, I'm not sure if I can share my screen here, Dale. I can give it a go just to see whether it works, you know.
Aye.
I don't know. Can you? Oh no, sorry, an error occurred. No. Okay, but you posted that link, right?
Yeah, it's in there. Is there anything specific in it you want me to pull up?
Well, if you want to just pull it up and we'll just go through it. It's just a couple of pages I want to point out so that people know the place to look at, basically, right?
So go on to a screen share.
All right. There's a paper there called Perspective, Appearances and Representations.
Yeah, got it.
PDF.
Right, got it.
Right, there you go. That's like 30 pages. And if you go to, page 2 contains a summary.
Yeah.
Of the theorems that are basically in that paper. There's two major ones, Theorem 1 and Theorem 2, right, which basically explain how, appearances and representations and the differences between the two and how your vision works. And underneath Theorem 1, there's a whole bunch of corollaries, as they say in the mathematical term. Yeah. And if you go to page number page number 10, which would be corollary 1.2.
Yep.
Then there's a geometric proof in there of why it's not the case that they do not appear in the proportion of their respective magnitudes. So something that is far away does not necessarily appear to be the same size and the same proportion, right?
Yeah.
There's another one comes after that too. There's a couple of pages that go along with that. And then there's another corollary, 1.3 on the next page, where, for example, you can quite clearly see that, see the bottom green object, light green object?
Yep.
It's the same size as all the other parts, right?
Yep.
But that green part is going to look slightly smaller to you than the other parts because it's further away from the center axis of your eye, right? I mean, it's fairly obvious. None of this stuff's rocket science, right?
No.
Even though that green line is the same size as the red line at the top or the two yellow ones in the middle or the blue ones, right?
Yeah.
That green line at the bottom is going to cut a smaller degree, right, arc on your retina than any of the other pieces. So it's going to appear smaller, right? So, there's proofs that I don't want to go through it all now, Dale, because, everybody can look at it for themselves. All I want to point out is that there is mathematical proofs that what that lady says is just not true, right?
Yeah.
And whether she's ignorant of the fact or whether she's, I just can't believe it. No. And if it is just pure ignorance, Dale, then they shouldn't be calling themselves scientists in any form or another, right? They should be doing their homework, their basics, right?
Exactly.
And they shouldn't be spouting those lies, right? No. The fact that mast, the bottom of the ship disappears has much more to do with the fact that you're much closer to the ground. And objects, that object, the bottom half of that ship is going to subtend a smaller angle at your eye, and the further away these things get, then the more and more it's going to disappear to sight. Whereas the top half, with a mass which is subtending a bigger angle at your eye, is going to disappear less quickly. Right?
The thing about that is, Gav, as you say, it's demonstrable in everyday life. People have witnessed this looking along a straight road where the bottom of fucking vehicles have disappeared. It's not because the road's curved that it's disappeared, or any curve or obscured by curvature. There's a limit to the light getting to your eye. It can't resolve it,
Of course. And strangely enough, this ratio of 3, 4, 30, right? So 3,430 or 3,500 if you want to round it up. That ratio of when objects are no longer visible to you. So, that proportion times the diameter of the object that you're looking at, that proportion, the distance removed, will mean you will no longer see the object. And funny enough, it just happens to be the definition of the number of nautical miles in the radius of the Earth, Dale, right? So, and they need that radius of 3,430 nautical miles to get the curve that they talk about. Yeah. So what is beyond the imaginary curve, it's pure twisting in language and playing on vision,
Of course. So, and again, it's evident. It's evident for anybody that goes and looks at the best proofs of a globe. Every single one will be based on vision. But without telling you that or going into it and extrapolating it in any way, shape or form, there's no direct measurement of curvature, there's no physical demonstrations of substances, nothing, you know?
Well, I just hope that paper, is interesting enough for people. And I'm also using it to show that, they'll like to point out that people in sheds don't have fucking educations or, bully people with this intellectual, fucking high ground.
Yeah.
No, sorry. There are people that don't believe in the globe cosmology that can write mathematical papers too. So I challenge any of them to go into that paper, right? Yep. Look at it and tell me what's wrong with it. And then they should retract their stupid statements there.
Exactly. So let's see if they bring anything forward. We're here. You're welcome to come anytime.
Yep. Anytime.
Right, shall we continue?
Please, yeah.
Let me see, where is it?
I hope that, helps people dismantle that pure pish that lady talks to begin with. I mean, and that's the best one. It's the one they always come with,
exactly.
Too, isn't it? I mean, Jesus Christ.
Oh, no.
But she said she was going to get into more complicated ones now, so let's hear it.
It'll be Venus and Jupiter and all that stuff. Wait a minute, right, we're sharing all right.
To the seashore. Go to a seashore and figure out why you can't, if you live on the East Coast, figure out why you can't see Spain from the East Coast of North America.
What a fucking prick. What an absolute prick.
Total red herring, right? Total red herring.
Yeah.
We're talking about the limits of vision, and he's trying to bring that up as a proof of that the Earth can't be flat. Absolute disingenuous lies.
And there's a point to do it. And there's a point to do it. If it actually was a globe, we would be able to see a lot further than what they suggest we should. Nothing should be obscured for hundreds and hundreds of miles. So if it was a globular Earth, why can I no fucking look down and see London from the Braes?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, on a globe, you would have that added advantage that you should be able to see further. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Just go to the middle of the Mississippi River and look south. Why can't you see the Louisiana? Why can't you see New Orleans? What's the problem?
Well, a better question would be, how come Mississippi flows uphill?
Yeah, exactly. I know. Maybe it's a limitation of your vision there, Bill. But he thinks you've got telescopic eyes. He thinks you've got fucking cartoon eyes that extend beyond your skull. You know what I mean? That can go indefinitely so that you can see Spain from the fucking America. What an absolute prick of a boy. I said I wasn't going to do all this, but I can't help myself.
I mean, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, the thing is, it's dishonest, right? It's the kind of way a lawyer would argue in a court if he's trying to get a known criminal off there, right? It's a distraction, It's like, let's not worry about whether this guy was the murderer or not. Let's just talk about how horrific the crime was, right? Like, basically just a complete distraction, right? From the actual, facts. I mean, nobody's talking here about having telescopic eyes or, all that nonsense. So why is he even bringing it up?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pure pish.
It's just total nonsense to try and discredit. It's not even well thought out nonsense. It's just...
Or then climb a tower or go to the top of a hill or a mountain and you'll see a little farther, but you will not see to the other side.
For the reasons we just spoke about.
What's that guy's name again? I forgot.
Bill Nye. Bill Nye.
Ah, that's right. Bill Nye.
Aye. Right. As you move off the ground, you're creating a wider angle, so you can see further. I mean,
preposterous.
Of the Earth, places we know to exist. For example, I've been to London. I can tell you, other people have.
Come to Scotland, Bill, because I'm going to kick you right in the fucking stones, and you need it.
So, I mean, that's an old philosophical argument, right, that he's trying to pull there. Nobody's questioning whether London exists or not. So why is he even bringing it up, right? He's trying to come to the high horse with, a kind of philosophical, perspective onto this, but it's just sneaky stuff, sneaky words.
Into Vancouver, British Columbia, and you cannot see Vancouver, British Columbia from Boise, Idaho, let alone from New York City or Toronto or what have you.
Then there's some other...
This is another aspect, because they've used this before about scale. You know, and again, in comparison to the Earth, you are a fucking minute, minuscule blimp. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not a fucking giant towering above the whole fucking Earth to be able to see indefinitely. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we are a little bit like two-dimensional things, right? I mean, we're not snakes slithering along the ground, but I mean, 6 foot isn't much, right?
No.
So we're not really at any altitude to be able to get the full picture.
Exactly.
So they're playing
They're
that.
a little more obscure, but they're actually really lovely. And one,
They're more obscure, but they're actually really lovely. It's a use of this words here, trying to treat people like they appeal to the child. You know what I mean? Like it's fucking nursery school. That again, this is more of the predatory behaviour that really fucking riles me up. You know?
I totally agree. Yeah. It's the dishonesty part of it, isn't it? It's deceitful.
Trying to fluff everything.
is to observe what happens during a lunar eclipse.
Here we go.
Now, a lunar eclipse happens when the Earth casts a shadow on the moon.
Stop right there, Phil.
Yep.
Yeah, we have to stop right there. These kind of arguments are sometimes hard to see, right?
Yeah.
Or hard to comprehend, because if you don't stop it right there, the rest of it's all immaterial, right?
Yeah.
The thing to point out here is, in my perspective, is that she's making an assumption that the Earth is a space ball, and then she's going to use that assumption to prove that Earth is a space ball. Now that is just circular reasoning. That is just pure distraction. You don't even need to worry about the rest of the nonsense you'll say. That's all just there to pad it out and make it sound really good. That's sophistry. But if you don't catch that fallacy, then you can be easily sucked in and taken in by it all.
Exactly. And also the assumptions made about the luminaries. You know, these are just thrown in as well.
Absolutely. She's now going on to say, okay, the shadows, you know, by Earths and moons, but she's already assuming that there's a space out there and Earth is a ball, right? And then she's going to go from there on, and she's going to try and prove that is a proof of curvature.
Well, that's what I was pointing out earlier. They start
it's subtle stuff. People need to watch out for it. Right? It's language.
I said that earlier before you came on there. That, you know, they start from the assumption, the worldview, and then they twist everything that they observe or experience in order to fit that presupposition without ever proving the first premise.
That's right. That's exactly what they do, and that's just a blatant example of it. So we can skip the next 3 minutes of gibberish. It doesn't really matter what she tells me now, right? And that's, I think, what people have to understand coming new to this whole topic, that those kinds of circular reasoning, those kinds of cheating. I mean, it is just sophistry. There's nothing, no proofs in there at all.
No. So let's just skip her forward, see what she's talking
about.
The
sun is on one side of the Earth. The Earth is in the middle. And it's casting a shadow. The Earth is casting a shadow on the moon. And as the shadow moves across the moon, you'll notice that the shadow is curved. It's round. So some show you the shape of the Earth.
No, it doesn't.
It's going to be flat, but it's actually still shaped like a disc, not like a sphere.
So that's the bit that she's talking about a flat. What she's done there is took the assumption of a globular Earth from space and just put in a flat dish in its place.
That's right. That's the lumping together of, you know, every old, you know, nonsense under the sun to try and make it look ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, the main thing is it's assuming a space ball to prove a space ball. That is not science. That's just word salad. Right? That's just fallacies. Ignoratio elenchi is the Aristotelian word that covers all of those logical fallacies. It's the inability to know exactly what you need to either prove something or to refute something, Dale. It's ignorance.
Totally, mate.
A Greek scientist called Aristarchus, and what he noticed was that you can get a lunar eclipse at many different angles where the sun is. Sometimes the shadow goes straight across the moon. Sometimes it just kind of glances the moon, just a little bit as shadow, just on the top or on the bottom. From every different vantage point, every different angle that the sun is casting a shadow, you always get a perfectly curved shadow. The only shape that can cast a shadow that's curved from any direction you put the light is a sphere. So people have known that the Earth is spherical for thousands of years.
No, they didn't.
Look at pictures from...
Fucking liar.
Fucking liar. Now, what they did know is that your eye, your globe, the thing that lives in the orbit in your head, that's fucking spherical, Dale. That's what they knew.
Yep.
And, just again to point out some of the nonsense that she's speaking in there, it's known that, if you view the world at the center of a sphere, then every circle in the sky will always have a projection of a circle on the sphere. You'll always see it as a circle or as a disk. Right?
Yep.
If you want to call it that, like a disc hanging in the sky, which is how the sun appears to us, right? And that is everything to do with your vision, nothing else.
Exactly.
So again, that's in these papers on that drive. If anybody wants to look at it. And I challenge these people to look at any of the stuff on there and come with, if they want, with their mathematics, right? Because even their mathematics don't back it up. So. Well, I call it geometry rather than maths. So.
Let's see, I missed what he says there.
Look at pictures from space, where you see the Earth as a sphere.
There we go. Scientifical, logical fucking proofsies.
Believe what you see in the TV. Right?
Pictures are not fake, and I'll tell you, just if nothing else, here's why you can tell.
We'll believe you then. Just because you say they're not fake, then we'll just take that for granted. To take you on your face value. Thanks for that, Bill.
Exactly. Any one of these, I could say, well, that's somebody's flying in an aircraft with a fucking curved lens that's making the horizon appear curved.
Yeah. Just to create the paperwork.
Oh, here we go.
NASA has.
This is a fallacy and a fucking red herring gibberish as well. You people work at NASA would have to produce stuff. This isn't proving your fucking assumptions, prick.
No, exactly. I mean, he's now going to fall into this kind of motive argument again, as we pointed out many times, Dale, looking at it doesn't, doesn't obfuscate the facts of the fucking crime that we're seeing here, right? Talking about motive or worrying about, how could all these people be part of the deceit? Very easily, because everybody watches the TV, and everybody lends these geeks, these idiots, their authority.
Exactly.
Right? It's something that everybody has to look at themselves and say, why the hell am I doing that? Stop it is all I can say, but it's got nothing to do with physical facts and proofs,
This one case. Just the paperwork to send anything out in space, to send people into orbit or to send them to the moon. That amount of paperwork would make faking it prohibitively expensive. No one could afford to generate that much documentation.
Shut up.
And the other thing, if you want,
what a fucking complete and utter bell end that boy is. Honestly.
Yep. Again, absolutely nothing to do with what it is we're talking about. And, it's that example I gave, right? But he's not proven who the murderer was, he's proven how horrific the murder was.
Yep.
He's gone on now about stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're asking him to prove as nonsense claims.
He's just trying to emotionally sway people using sophistry again.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to get into this if you're really serious, if your friends are really serious. Have them get on a boat or a ship and go out at sea, and you'll notice you can't see infinitely far. Furthermore,
do we know this?
Yeah.
So why do you think that is, Bill? I mean, again, he doesn't address that. Well, at the same time, he's asserting, how can I not see Spain from America?
Yep, the claim, nobody here is claiming that we can see infinitely far.
Nope.
In fact, we're the guys pointing out how vision works.
Exactly.
Absolute nonsense.
or if you get into it enough, pick up a book about navigation or go online and learn about navigation. A very, very important thing you have to take into account when you try to navigate the ocean from a ship or a boat is how high you are off the sea surface.
There we go. Celestial navigation will now be taken as a...
You can see the farther away the horizon is.
Yeah, so he's talking about navigation, and the higher you are off the surface, the further you can see, which is due to increasing the angle. Nothing to do with the curved earth. Right, and again, sorry. You know, we don't look down. You don't elevate up and continually angle downwards to look down the slope of the earth.
Yep. And again, it's the thing we pointed out, how, you know, they'll continually try to use the fact that, you know, there's mathematical models based on spheres that mirror, if you like, the celestial sphere, that the fact that the night heavens appears to us to be spherical, Dale, right? They'll take that, they'll model it, and they'll try and use that as proof again that the world is curved, because only then you can navigate. No, I mean, it's fairly simple that if it's based on vision, and all these navigational items are also built on vision and horizon, that of course it will work the same way, Dale. Fuck all they do is anything being curved.
The thing about it is they actually tell you this. They'll tell you that the celestial sphere is an imaginary concept.
Yep.
And as you say, based on the individual and how he perceives the world around them.
Yep. Absolutely.
I actually said this to somebody, and I couldn't believe they'd never thought of it. That, you know, with binoculars you can see planets. You can see Saturn and Jupiter. You can see Mars.
You can see cartoons.
Telescope, the sun, the moon, everything else we see in the solar system is a sphere.
Is it?
So we're the one thing that is different.
So here we go. This is basic fucking fallacious reasoning again. You know, I see a circle, I see a ball, therefore everything's balls. What a complete and utter moron.
Your analogy with the pool tables, the best one there.
Pool balls you round, therefore tables round. Who?
Yep.
Oh, I'm looking at the goal. I'm standing at the goalposts in a football field, and the goalposts that are directly in front of me, I have to look up at them. But the ones at the other end are beneath and look smaller. Therefore, the football park is curved.
Yep.
That's a kind of idiotic reasoning of these people.
Yep.
You know, and that actually made somebody who was more interested in actually hearing information. That actually got them to think. They were like, "You're right."
Oh, you're amazing,
you know,
Michelle. You're fucking absolutely fucking blew my mind.
Everything else we take a picture of is a sphere.
And you guys, come on. Everybody watches newscasts. You all use mobile phones.
This is just blatant propaganda, damage control.
Yep. Now they're going to talk about satellites, probably, is it? I'm not sure, but when they mention mobile phones and stuff like that, then you can see that they're kind of going that way now.
You all see airplanes fly around. You all go to see
Bill, we all see airplanes dipping, down towards the horizon, which is an effect of your vision again, and not the fact that they're going over any curve.
Exactly.
In fact, you can do simple measurements like measure the time it takes to go through your field of vision, and if that was the case, right, that these things were flying over the curve, would be on a pretty small ball.
Exactly, I've pointed that out before. Time, an aircraft coming from your horizon, passing over the top of you to go to the next horizon, and draw the arc of that, and then see how stupid and idiotic and tiny the globular Earth would actually have to be.
Yep. And again, that would just, that's the stage where they would have to admit that there are visual effects in there, Dale, right? Yep. That it has to do with how your eyes work and visual perception. But again, they just won't go there.
No.
Right? They'll just ignore it.
Exactly.
One day in London, another day in Melbourne, Australia. This all depends on our fundamental understanding of the size of the Earth and its shape.
I was about to say idea. Yeah. Right, let's see. Just before he leans forward.
In Australia, this all depends on our fundamental understanding of this
idea, understanding. Yeah, you were right the first time, Bill. It's just an idea. It's just a concept. It's just a model.
And he comprehends the model and the concept, and because he's got the comprehension of it, he thinks that proves it.
That's right. Yep.
The Earth and its shape with extraordinary precision. And if you want to get into it, the Earth isn't quite a sphere. It's a little, its spin is a little stretched.
It spins a little, very articulate.
Slightly oblate, as the saying goes.
And it's not okay to think that the Earth is flat. This is not a viable argument.
It's not okay. It's not a viable argument. It's not an argument. And why is it not okay? Because here's the thing I've pointed out so many fucking times. That's everybody's direct experience. So, how in her mind is it unacceptable for people to think that that's what's going on? Because who experiences curves? Who's experiencing the world as a globe? Nobody.
Yep, absolutely nobody.
I have friends who have been on the International Space Station. They have
here we
orbited
go.
the Earth once every 90 minutes.
This is all this stuff the same as before. It's just part of the emotional manipulation, trying to treat you like a child, using fluffy words so that you don't reject it, because how can you reject fluffy, wuffy, duffy gooiness, right? If she can appeal to your fucking childlike mindset. This is no different.
They'll always throw that one in there about, I know somebody, I've got a friend, my dad worked there and stuff like that. And that's to stop people attacking, right? Because nobody wants to necessarily attack a man, right? But if she's claiming that she knows somebody who's been up there and has seen the ball, then that person is a fucking liar.
Exactly.
It's that simple.
Exactly.
Right? And we're all, people are supposed to be too scared to point that out because nobody likes to do it. You know, we're all nice folks generally, by and large.
That's what they're appealing to. You know,
that's right.
But as I say, I've got friends who fucking think that they talk to angels in fucking heaven. So, by that reason, I mean, it must be true then.
Yeah. Well, I've got people who think they're made of glass. Yeah, I know people. Yeah, and they're usually, usually have to, increase the medication to them.
You know, I have had personal experience with people that have been up in space and
personal experience with people. Again, just appealing to you.
Can see with their own eyes that the Earth is round. And of course, we've taken all these amazing pictures from space. They're so beautiful, all those pictures of the Earth.
Amazing.
So I don't...
There you go, that's that moving at
Superman, didn't you?
Shoot Superman. And in that footage there, it's moving at 17,500 miles an hour, apparently, and it's moving by pretty quickly. Yet, we can go and watch a spacewalk where the Earth beneath doesn't fucking move at all, Michelle. So what's happening with the warp drive on the space station? Putting it into reverse and stopping it for a wee minute so we can do a spacewalk, and then putting it back into 17,500 miles an hour, falling perpetually around the globular cartoon.
Yeah.
I don't really know what's going on right now with this Earth is flat thing.
In a debate, what is the construct? It's typically...
This is the most interesting...
Right? That's what's happening.
This is the most interesting part, and I've highlighted this before. This is where you see a blatant hijacking, direct hijacking of our position and everything we've stated over the last 5.5, 6 years, whatever it is. Right?
Yeah.
This Earth is flat thing.
What have we said? What have I always said? It's not a debate. A debate is for ideas, concepts. Reality is singular, it's objective, it's not up for debate. Make a statement or a claim about an aspect of objective reality, you are duty bound to practically, physically demonstrate that. Simple. Right? That's been stated here over and over quite clearly. Let's now have a listen to what Neil's got to say.
And the common sense aspect of things, right?
Yeah.
You know, trust in your senses and your constitution and knowing how they work. Yeah.
Yeah.
In a debate, what is the construct? It's typically two people, and there's an audience, and you debate some opposite sides of some issue, and then there's a winner of the debate. And then everyone walks away reflecting on the winner. So who wins a debate? It's often the person who's charismatic,
or the ones who have access to mainstream media, who utilise propaganda, misrepresentations, barefaced slander, as we've seen continually over the years, Neil, misrepresenting people like us, lumping us in, generalising, attaching straw men to us. I mean...
Yep.
Who's maybe charming, that's related to charisma, of course, who has a good way with words, good vocabulary. And you can have someone who doesn't have any of that, who is speaking objective truths, who could lose a debate.
Like us. Like pigeons who think that they've debated us because we tell them to fuck off and call them a bunch of morons and think they've won something. Is that what you mean, Neil?
Right. I wouldn't even put us in that category, Grell. You know, I think, you know, as far as the vocabulary and the ability to articulate it clearly what we mean, you know, there's absolutely no way that we fail at that, you know, and yourself, you know, absolutely no way.
That's all.
Then what is the point of the debate if one of these points of view is objectively true? So I will not enter a debate where I have the objectively true side of an argument.
See, this is what I'm saying about them hijacking. You don't have the objective truth, Neil. If you've got the objective truth, bring it then. Bring it to us and let's see. because you have nothing, son.
Well, we've said that so many times there, right? You know, I mean, I don't know how many times it's been said, but don't engage in debates because there's nothing to be debated here.
No.
We can discuss, we can have a reasonable discussion about our objective reality, but there's no debate. And now he's trying to hijack exactly that position and claiming that he's the guy with all the facts on his side. Exactly. Absolute, you know, 180 turnaround, right? Exactly. And I would agree. I would think that that's a reaction to what's happened on this channel.
Yep. Because we're the only ones that have spoke like that. I don't see anybody else saying it's not a debate, yada yada, and using that rhetoric. Nobody.
No.
Because all these supposed big channels, all they ever do is perpetuate debate to make money and con people and to keep it going forever and ever.
Or make themselves important, or I don't know, whatever reasons they have, but I don't hear anybody else saying that it has to be, objective reality has to be discussed and not debated. And now he's trying to hijack that position. Absolutely.
So all these anti-flat earth channels, right, why are they not listening to their high priest here? Their high priest representative of their worldview, who's quite clearly telling them it's not a debate. So why are they not paying attention to him?
Person does not. That is something that should not be debated. Does not belong in front of an audience getting debated. You want to debate something? Debate political policy of what to do in the face of climate change. Do you have carbon tax? Do you have solar panels? Do you subsidize them? Debate that.
What he's basically saying there is that when you don't know, because obviously I've stated it so many times, debates happen when you don't fully comprehend and understand what something actually is.
So, and that's fine. There's a place for debates, right? To hear other people's arguments, right?
Yeah.
To even be swayed because, you know, whatever you haven't thought through everything yourself. I'm not saying that there's not a place to have a debate, but
only in matters that are conceptual, Gav.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. You can't debate facts.
No.
You can't debate the natural world.
No. You can debate whether or no if I smash the hammer over your skull that it's going to cave in, or you like. But the physical fact is that it will fucking cave in. I mean...
Right. It would be a pure waste of time to debate that.
You can debate whether or no water's going to find its level and the surface is going to be a horizontal plane. But the fact is that that's exactly how it is. So...
Something that is or is not objectively true in this world.
This is all susceptible to analysis, but spend some time learning about navigation. Tell your friends to spend some time learning about navigation.
Learn about navigation and all the instrumentation and how it was actually done. Right? Yeah. Because you will see quite fucking... Every single part of it, planar. Every single bit of it.
Yep, and all relying on our common understanding of what a horizon is still.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And not any mathematical, you know, interpretations of what a horizon or, you know, redefinitions.
Navigation's changed the world, by the way. What are you wearing? You're wearing stuff that came from another part of the world on a ship. It didn't get here by magic.
I came across the pond on the level water. Bill.
Got here through...
That's one thing I always want to keep pointing out too is, you know, the real unit of physical distance measurement is the nautical mile, Dale.
Yeah.
That is the measurement over water, right?
Yep.
Since that is the substance that does not change its behavior and its level.
Yep.
Right? So, you know, anything, you know, and that's why, you know, airships also, you know, navigate using nautical miles.
Yeah.
I think it's important to combat people who are claiming that they are using math, science, evidence, and physics behind their cause, when in fact they either are.
Well, come and combat us then, Neil. Yeah. He's just asserted that it's not a debate, and now he's going into the rhetoric of fucking combat. Right? So, again, Neil and the people that pay attention that fucking feed him his fucking lines, get the moron to come and sit here with us. We'll go to him. I'll go to any of these people, any day, any time, any place. Sort it out.
Yep. I'll be right beside you, my man.
Exactly.
And he can go and look at the Google Drive, and if he sees anything in any of these papers that is wrong, then let's see his rebuttal.
Yep.
Aren't.
I would honestly, I would absolutely love just to get in front of these people isolate them in a fucking room and let's have that fucking discussion. The reason I know it's not going to happen is because, for the same reason they know it's not going to happen, because they know they're telling fucking lies. And when you've got people who know how to combat their bullshit, they'll never entertain it. They'll just sit here cherry picking, looking for weak targets, using their sophistry and their fucking propaganda tools continually.
Yep, they'll go for easier. They'll sway the weak-minded. That's where their focus will stay. Yeah. And they know there's more of them than there are of us, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Or they're using it badly. That needs to be called out. Otherwise, if you just have a belief system, I don't really care. We live in a country that protects...
That's right, Neil. You can believe you live in an absurdity all you fucking like, but see, when you start trying to tell everybody that that's an objective truth, I've got a serious issue with that, and you need to be combated, son. So, there we go, we'll just twist everything again, right back at you.
But it's absolutely exactly what you said there. It's absolutely spot on. That's I've got no problem either. If idiots want to believe that they're on globes and fish, monkey, squirrels, fine. Yeah? But as soon as they start spouting it to our children, right? As soon as they start trying to enforce it into all aspects of education and I don't know, wall-to-wall propaganda 24/7, then I have an issue with it too, because it's holding everybody back. Everybody.
Free speech, which usually also means free thought. You want to think Earth is flat? Go right ahead. But if you start influencing other people who have power over other people, and you have no foundation...
You talked for free speech in the Constitution a minute ago. But now we are crazy men that need to be stopped.
And influencing people who have power over other people. So what he's doing is he's actually saying that these people that are being influenced are incapable of discerning things for themselves. So he's actually kicking them in the balls, stabbing them in the back by making out that they're fucking daft or whatever. That they're in positions of power and influence over other people, but they've somehow been swayed by apparent fringe lunatics. Very good, Neil. How does that even fucking string together? Is anything coherent? I mean...
It doesn't.
What a walloper. I've said it before, these people are just no skilled. They think they're manipulative and this, that and the other, but they've just no got what it fucking takes.
No, well, they don't have the truth on their side and they're not honest.
Nah.
And that's, those two things will always bring their downfall, if you ask me.
Be dangerous. If you influence people or you yourself...
Aye, exactly, Neil. It is dangerous. Look at the state of the fucking place. Right? People are all running about bewildered, clutching at fucking straws, religions and politics and all sorts of fucking crazy, mindless fucking stuff, all because they've been disorientated and robbed of their foundations where they actually are. Neil, you son are a criminal to the fucking human race.
Become someone who has influence over legislation, laws, rules by which we all abide in society. That's an unhealthy situation for civilization to be in. If your personal belief system...
And this isn't healthy. He thinks civilization the way it is and is healthy or something. I mean, the way civilization is right now isn't because of apparent fringe lunatics that believe in flat earths and all that. That's got fuck all to do with it. The result of where we are now is because of your heliocentric fucking cult.
Absolutely.
Pedophiles and fucking...
You should be ashamed to even be spouting that stuff.
You know?
And again, it's obviously untrue what he's saying.
Aye. Absolutely fucking really rile me up. I swear to God, I've got a real fucking contempt for these cretins, by the way.
We're the crazy 1% that have apparently got the world into the mess it is now. Huh? Sorry, Neil, that doesn't even make sense.
Exactly. No. Nothing that you said's made any fucking sense.
Which does not have correspondence in objective reality.
No.
He's talking about objective reality. Correspondence in objective reality, fucking bendy oceans, opposing pressure systems side by side with any barriers and all sorts of fucking mental contortions going on in your worldview, son.
Warp space time.
Aye.
He'll be living as an astrophysicist. He'll be right up there looking right into the Einsteinian Poincare disk of the hyperbolic geometry. Even that. Remember that video we watched pretty recently, Dale, where they basically said after all the stuff that they've looked at now, that the universe is probably Euclidean.
Exactly. It's Euclidean, but it's got wee space balls floating about on it.
Yeah.
In the thoughts and hearts and minds of civilization.
It's not okay to say that the Earth is flat. This is some sort of strange denial. I don't know where it comes from. And
well, come and save us then, Michelle. Get all your best cronies and come and save us then. But don't bring words. No words and clipboards and fucking chalks and blackboards and whiteboards. Just bring practical references to support all your assertions. Thank you very much. It's not that difficult, surely.
If it was all true, it shouldn't be a problem whatsoever, Dale.
Exactly.
Thing where I keep getting this question. We really need to put this question to bed because we've.
We need to put it to bed. Let's build a construct then that will absolutely fucking end it all together. Again, let's call you out. Let's get a construct built that will show a direct measurement of the Earth.
Yep. The level.
Aye. Exactly. That's enough of that shit.
It shouldn't be called Big Think. It should be called P-Brain or something, that channel.
Exactly. Small man.
Thanks for that, my man. It was good to just once in a while just go through that stuff and highlight again the nonsense for anybody who still hasn't got it.
Yeah. And that's all you're ever going to get is a rehash of the same shit all the time. So again, it's just like, this is what I keep trying to say to people, this is a continual battle, right, where there's no resolve to be had. It's just them rehashing, new people appearing, same argumentations offered up slightly different over and over and over again. So, you know, if that continues, then people like myself are just going to come here and keep fucking hammering them straight back again.
Oh, I mean, I know the weather can get people down, and, you know, sometimes I feel myself, fuck's sake, you know,
right.
Could this not go faster? But there's no fucking way anybody here's giving up, Chief.
Nah, no way.
Anybody who's realised, you know, you've got an obligation there enough to keep going, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, there's times when you can say, oh, fuck it, get me out of here, you know. Right. But at the same time, you know, you can't just leave your brothers, your sisters, your mother, your father in abject ignorance, right?
No.
Or in, you know, under the spell of these people, you know. Just not on, you know, as far as I'm concerned.
Not a fucking chance.
But I'm going nowhere.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Same here. But, aye. And that's it. It's talking about civilization and trying to lay on the thick fucking emotional sway about civilization and you're responsible for all these people. No, you're responsible for your immediates. And as far as I'm concerned, I don't want my immediates subjected to fucking brainwashing dipshits like they fucking three clowns we've just witnessed. So as you say, I'm going to fucking fight tooth and nail right to the end, and I'm going to make sure it's instilled in them so that as they grow and mature, they can see right through this pish. And that's everybody's responsibility. That's how it will transpire, you know, through generation. You know, it only takes one generation to fucking overturn the whole shebang.
You said it, my man. We've said that before, you know, the spell they have on us is tenuous at best, you know. That's why they have to continually bombard us or think up new stuff, right? To keep us in fear, trepidation and bewilderment.
Exactly.
Because they know it's just one generation away. It's the reason they have to get them young and, you know, do what they do. And, you know, it's everybody's own responsibility to do something about that. You've got it in your own hands, right? You're the ones producing them, the babies, right?
Yep.
So, you know, you need to take some responsibility for that with it.
Exactly. And if you've got a shred of doubt in you, whether you still believe in a globe, and if you know inside you've got a shred of doubt, it's your responsibility to not pass that on to the next generation. Don't infect them with your fucking bias. Let them, give them the tools that they require to discern for themselves and make their own fucking decisions.
Yep.